Greetings. Shalom. Uh, what I have Job's second family is his first. First, like we read, seek the kingdom of heaven first. And first meaning above or greater, first in rank, I guess, if you will, spiritually. In importance, the real thing first. And not carnally understood, literally first. Job's first family is dead to him, and he's dead to them. And it's not something Job wanted or came up with and said, I got an idea, but it's something Job has to accept, understand that that's not his first true family. And so then what will happen to spiritual Job? What we read, the first family is the second, and the second is the first, and the first is the last, and the last is the first. And we read Messiah's words, whoever seeks to do the will of the Father is the true family. I don't know if I had that verse in there, but the one that, yes, I do have part of it. So there's more, I think, but anyone who hears his word and does it is the family, the true family. It already exists. It's already true, even if someone hasn't realized or maybe seeing it yet. Anyone that is born from above that is the only true first family. So what is Messiah saying by saying this truth? He's also saying that the family someone thinks is family is not their family. If someone is family, if the only family is someone that hears his word and does it, and that's the true family, mothers, brothers, fathers, sisters, like we read, there's no male or female in the kingdom. Messiah taught that. Because we read mothers, brothers, fathers, sisters, relatives, and we read, what else do we read? He said, woman to his mother, or is the father a liar? That's not his mother, even though it says it over and over again. And for the mother, his son, it also says, behold your son, and to the disciple, behold your mother. Was that literally true in the flesh? No, it wasn't. Was it spirit? Is it the spiritual reality and truth? That is the first real thing, not the second. Someone that thinks it is will be last. And those that are believed to be last in this world will be first. Because that's how backwards everything is. And enmity against good and evil, light and darkness. Whatever the world thinks is first is worthless and nothing. It's last. It's at the bottom compared to the real things, the true good things that he gives, the spiritual things, and his truth, and not what the world thinks is important. Carnal worthlessness, straining at gnats that don't do any good, swallowing camels. When something big comes by, it's like gulp, and there's no regard. It doesn't even know that it swallowed a camel. That's part of what swallowing a camel is not having a clue that you just swallowed something and it just goes numb and blind. It's like something goes off in someone's mind, and it clicks like a light switch, and you watch the delusion turn on when truth is given to this world, and it just pretends it from looking at it, it looks like someone's just hardcore pretending that they just didn't hear anything. It's bouncing off of them perfectly, and it hates it so much it just bounces right off, and that's how it solves all its problems. which doesn't solve anything, is it pretends they don't exist, and because it's God, I pretend it doesn't exist, therefore it must be true. And if someone wants something embarrassing to go away, what will they do in their mind? Pretend it went away, because they have to. They can't bear it, and it's proof they're not the creator, they're not Elohim, because they can't make it go away. But since they believe they're Elohim in their own mind, the man of sin sitting in the temple where he ought not, the God of gods, the Elohim of Elohims, greater than all others in its own mind, pride, a king in its mind, a God, an Elohim in its mind, it sits there at the throne room and says, go away. And because it said go away, it goes away, and it thinks it went away. And it's given a lie to believe that it did go away when it didn't. And other people will still see it. But because they so much want it to go away, they'll just believe no one's going to see it, no one's going to remember. That's what it has to do when it's caught in some kind of shameful work or does something that is embarrassing for its image, because it cares about its image so much and only. That's what's going to happen in someone's mind in this world. It just says the words, and because it says so, I am the creator. Let there light be, let light be, and so it is, because I said so. The problem is man isn't the creator. He's just a little man, a worm. He's no creator at all. And he can't do that and has no power to do that. But he must believe that, especially at the appropriate time in his own mind. He has to believe the lie. It's the only way he can cope in his own mind. There's no other way. Cain says, this is unbearable. Well, it's too bad. You're going to have to deal with it. That's basically the answer. So then you come up with a bunch of lies to try to deal with it that don't actually make anything go away or fix anything in reality. It's just believing the lie is the false comfort. And then because that is someone's answer to sin, to this, to that, that thing becomes very important to them. If that thing is messed with, it'll shake them up. It'll see it to them. It'll be destruction towards them. It'll move them around. It'll mess up their whole entire worldview and everything about everything, because that is their cover to try to keep away from all the tormenting good things. It needs to believe that, which doesn't fix anything, but because it believes it does, that is important to someone. Therefore, if a lie is exposed and it uncovers whatever someone's thing is that's covering them as fraudulent, that'll make someone rage and go afraid, because that's their cover. That's their lie that covers, so-called, like Adam and Eve, their sin, their things, whatever has been made up to deal with whatever they need to deal with. And that's why someone will go crazy and rage inside when they hear truth, because it's doing all these things already. It's threatening their life, which they need to let go of. That is the only way to life, is to do what you think is going to kill you. It will actually give you life. And when we read, he who saves his soul shall be destroying it, that's what they're doing while the world thinks it has life for saving it. It's actually dying in heaven, meaning in reality, in truth. The delusion on earth, believing that that's not true, and it's happening anyways. It needs to believe, if I do this, if I jump up and down 10 times, that's going to solve my sin and death, and it never will, but it needs to believe that. And if someone's lie is uncovered, that's their cover for those sins. It becomes very important to someone. It's deep. It's connected to them. It's like pulling something out of the tree that's a part of it. It's tearing it apart. It's threatening its life. This tree needs to die. It needs to die. And it doesn't want to die, so it'll do anything it can to save its soul. And these are spiritual works being done every day, all the time, everywhere, about everything. And not coming someday like the church world projects so often with all his truth, is as if it's not true right now, and it's coming someday as if it's not true right now. That's the sin, that's the evil, is to imply that his truth is not true today, but that it's coming someday, meaning exactly that. It's not true yet. It's not true now. It's coming someday. His truth is already true. It's already all true. It's already true today. Whether someone knows any of it or not, it's already working, and he has proof for the works. He proves it that his truth is true. With proof, you see it. You see the works that prove the truth, the knowledge. The oranges prove it's an orange tree. He proves it. And rotten this proves it's rotten that. All the works prove it. It's not like there is no proof. It's just the world won't believe there's any proof because it doesn't believe. How could there be proof for someone that doesn't believe when his truth, his word specifically, is that you cannot have any actual belief or proof in unbelief? Plus, that's contradicting. He doesn't allow it. He makes sure that nobody can have any proof that doesn't believe. So they won't. They won't have any proof for anything that's true and good in their own mind. It's not allowed in unbelief. And he doesn't accept bribes, gifts like people are trying to give all the time to try to enter you and bribe you to believe or do something with that gift. It's not freely given if it's coming from the world. They can't do that. They can't do that. No, they can't freely give. They can't do what freely giving is. It's a lie and a trick that someone is saying they do that of this world. Just a matter of seeing what the proof and works are for why they're doing it. And when it's seen, then you can see they're lying plainly and simply with works to prove it. What will a blind person do, though? Just say they didn't do it. So there won't be anything in common between light and darkness because they'll just say they didn't do it because they're blind. Takes that blinding and uses it to its own advantage. Says, I can't see any evil I do. I'm blind. Of course, it won't say it's blind. And that's how it's always going to be between those that believe and those that don't. That's the only way. And maybe every now and then somebody hears the truth and believes, which is like a miracle, a rare thing. And nobody knows who that could be. So then they can't do any partiality with anyone to do whatever is right, regardless of what you think the outcome will be. The outcome doesn't matter. You still have to do what's right anyways, with no partiality. And if you do that in this world, you won't rise up in the world as a great person, loved by the world, stuffed with money bags. The opposite's going to happen. You're going down in this world. You're a dung and nobody, and someone should expect it. That's what we read. Messiah's whole entire life is that. That's what the world's going to see about Messiah, and therefore all his people. No different. Shouldn't expect anything different. If someone wants all those other worldly so-called blessings of the old covenant, which is carnality, which is mankind thinking that's blessings. It always did. That's all it knows that's blessings, is worldly carnal things, money, land, things like that. That's the only blessing in someone's mind in this world. That is the blessing. That's proof you're a good person while they're utterly deceived, and it has nothing to do with proving they do good or anything to do with heavenly blessing at all. Even though for a believer, someone can appreciate and be thankful with whatever lowly things they have that the Father's given, that isn't the blessing, though. It's still true and doesn't change. That's not the blessing. That isn't the heavenly blessing. Those aren't the real blessings. The blessings are, like Messiah said, in heaven. They're not to be seen by blind man on earth. Whatever he thinks is blessing is no blessing at all. But how can they hear these words? They can't. It's going to do this. Here's what it'll do. Do you have a car? Oh, when you use it? Wicked, man. Get rid of your car. Guess what happens if you did get rid of your car? You're self-righteous and wicked. That's what it'll do. It hates you that way and it hates it. So don't believe it. It's a liar. It only said that because it's angry it heard the truth. It only said, do you have a car? Do you have this? Do you have that? Because it's trying to find sin. Because it's not speaking out of truth and understanding. It's trying to find more than just a splinter in someone so they can want and prove and hope with all their heart that you're an unbeliever and evil and no good. That's what they want to prove. And then they're going to try to fulfill their own prophecy because they create their own laws in their own mind. And that's what justifies them in their own mind, the law that they created in that moment. And when they fulfill their own prophecy that they made up, which is no prophecy at all, then they believe it's prophecy. Then they believe they're God Almighty and the Elohim Almighty in its own mind, because it was able to do what it wanted to do. And it gets very angry when it cannot do what it wants to do. That's why someone gets angry, because they couldn't do what they wanted to do, which is proof. Utter proof. Even if it happens one time, it's proof that they are not the creator. But it happens over and over and over and over and over again, but they can't remember. Can't remember all those times that happens. You hide and pretend it doesn't exist, world, church world. But if they could see what truth is and what it means, if it happens one time, that proves they're not the creator. Creator can't deny himself, and he doesn't fail. He doesn't lie. So if it happens one time for real in life, it's proof that they're just a man or woman and no Elohim at all. That's why someone gets angry, because the Father just proved they could not, no matter how hard they try or wanted to, for real, with everything they got, they could not do what they wanted. And that happens over and over and over and over again. And that's never any proof to the unbelieving world. No, it's not going to be. It buries that. It swallows camels when it comes to the truth and good things. But it rises up when the Father allows someone just enough of something so that they believe a lie and are punished, believing a delusion, which is only for death. So it's a punishment. It's not good, but it'll believe it's good. The world's going to believe it's good. We're not in agreement with the world. There won't be agreement ever on anything good and true concerning his truth, and not worldly carnal things like, oh, you like green? I like green too. We're in agreement. Not speaking of that. So then when it does what it wanted and completes it, it's proof to its own mind that it's the creator through pride, because it did what it wanted. But it forgot all the times that it could not do what it wanted at all. No matter how hard it tried and wanted to, it literally could not. And if it plans and writes on paper, I will never do anything ever again that I cannot do. If I want to do it, I can do it. It will fail miserably all the time, over and over again. But it doesn't write that on paper. It doesn't remember that. So even if it plans today, all kinds of things are going to happen that they wanted to do and could not do it. They couldn't do it. It's just forgotten, thrown in the wind. But then these other little things given by the Father, because all things are given, where someone can do what they wanted, is because the Father just allowed it to be. Then they're deceived and tricked and think they did it of themselves. They forgot all the times they couldn't do what they wanted. What happened? What's going on there? Is that truth? That's no truth at all. That's a delusion. If they understood, then they would understand if you can't do something you want even one time, that's enough proof forever that nobody is Elohim, the creator. Which just now led me to this thought. What is that proof for Messiah? Did he get what he wanted with everything? Or was he just joking when he said, take this cup from me? Is there another way? He was just lying to the Father, pretending. And he's our example, a lying example, deceived example, utterly. When he says, is there another way? Take this cup from me, but not my will. your will be done. That was just a joke. Well, to the church world, he is a joke. That's the truth. To the church world, he is a joke. They don't believe in the true Messiah. They believe in some anti-Messiah spirit. Messiah they believe in is God-man, even though Messiah says the Father is greater than all. What do they say all means? Is Messiah a liar? Does all mean all? Was he confused? Maybe it doesn't mean all. Maybe Messiah lied and says what he really meant to say was, I'm a liar. The Father is greater than most. Not greater than me, which would be what all means. Because all has no exceptions, does it? No, there's no exceptions in all. That would be and mean Messiah himself. Father is greater than all. And yet, right after that, he says, I and the Father are one. What does this also prove that comes to my mind? Whatever someone thinks I and the Father are one means in the church world, what it absolutely does not mean is that Messiah is greater than the Father or even equal to, because the Father is greater than all. So what would this look like? What would the picture look like? What do I got? I don't need to do a picture, but go down here. I don't know, let's make something up. There's a circle. Can't even see it, right? And that's the Father, not in reality, just for a picture. And Messiah is right here, and the Father's right here, and Messiah is right here. Father's up here, Messiah is right here, because the Father gave all things. It's not something of self. Given is not self. And Messiah is speaking about the Father, that the Father is greater than all. Therefore, no one is equal to him in reality. Otherwise, Messiah would be a liar, that the Father is greater than all. Is that complicated? Is that hard to understand? See, when someone doesn't want the truth to be true, when they already hate it, then they can't understand that. Then they're going to try to justify the lie that Messiah is the creator and equal to or even greater or whatever they say. Is God, is Elohim himself, which is to be as great and equal to, at the very least, if he is the creator. And make Messiah a liar when he says the Father is greater than all. And even they'll say Jesus is not the Father and the Father is not Jesus, right? They'll say that. They got trapped in their own lying doctrine because they already said that. What are they going to do? Backtrack now? That's all the church world does, is backtrack and lie. And how could someone that's lying constantly have any love in their heart? Because lying is not love, no matter how much the world sells that it is. No blessing comes from lying to someone. Try it. See how much someone can love you. Lie to them on purpose all the time. See how much they can love you. But a blind person wants that to be true. See, it's already partial. It already wants lies to be true, and it will go out of its way to try to prove the lie is true, something that truth cannot do. No, we don't have that luxury. No, it's not a luxury. That's luxury to the wicked, to the evil thing. It's luxury. But that's just to bring out that truth can't do that. It doesn't create setups. So when someone's lying all the time, and when something's not true, what does someone have to do often? You have to plant your own evidence so that it looks like what you said is true. Why? Because it's not true. Proof that someone's lying. And then they're going to say, you're evil. You don't believe me. And they'll get angry for you not believing someone that's lying. Their works prove they're lying. If they were speaking the truth, they wouldn't have to do everything they just did, which is create a setup, which is create false evidence and plant it. Oh, but there's another side to this too that has to be seen. Something that's lying doesn't always have to plant evidence. So then it'll take advantage of that it's telling the truth because it's not planting evidence right this moment. Can someone see what that is? That's just a trick and deceitful and just using circumstances that happen to be at the moment for your advantage to try to sell something when what that person did was for no intention at all what they just tried to sell. I see it in my mind what this is. It just takes whatever happens to be and happens to exist around them and makes it look like it did what it did for that reason, for truth, for someone's good, when it just happens to work out that way, regardless of what they say or do. This happens all the time. I guess an example, like to bring a little bit of a picture, is, you know, when someone does something and it was not done on purpose, it was no plan at all, but it just happens to work out, and someone goes, I did that on purpose, I planned that, and everybody laughs because that person's lying. That's why they're laughing. There's no blessing. They can't. What blessing for lying? That's why they're laughing. They're laughing at their own stupidity. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's just a joke. It's just funny. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. Okay. That's what I used to believe too, fully, until Father starts giving his people truth and light to why things are happening. They're all laughing because it's not true. I can't even help it. It's a judgment. It's because it's stupid and they're laughing at that stupidity. It happens all the time. The Father got everyone, owned them all. How often someone laughs at their own wickedness and stupidity happens all the time. But if it were to brought to light, they would rage for what they laugh at. They'll rage at you for speaking the truth about what they laugh at themselves. Oh, so what's happening while they're laughing? Delusion. They don't actually believe they're doing evil. They're laughing out of punishment in delusion, not actually seeing the evil for what it is. That's what's happening. That's why someone will rage when what they laughed at is brought up word for word. And now they're raging for what they just laughed at. Because if it's set out of this truth and spirit and light, it's seeing everything around it. They laugh in the darkness, not seeing. That's why it can laugh, because it doesn't truly see anything around it and doesn't believe it's doing any evil in its own mind and heart. It doesn't believe it does any evil and never has, ever, never. No devil ever acknowledged sin. The devil doesn't acknowledge sin. The devil's never done any good works, ever, not even one, ever. None, zero. There is no truth in him. None. Zero. But they don't believe that in the church world. They think Messiah is a liar. Their Messiah is some other Messiah because they believe the true Messiah is a liar. Every word is a lie when everything is brought to light with some understanding. I believe he's a liar. How much more proof did they need to show that they really do believe the Father's word is a lie and that they despise it? How much proof do they need? All day long it can be proven and shown. It already was just in these few minutes with one or two examples already, and 10,000 more can be given. Just with their doctrines alone, not even talking about the works, it can be proven. Start talking about the works and it gets real bad. But if someone is blindfolded and can't see, they're not going to see any of the works they do. They just conveniently forget them. They don't see it. No, I don't see it. I never did anything evil. Never did any wrong. And when someone does acknowledge something carnal they did wrong, it's a trick. It's a nasty little trick, isn't it? Because someone is working out of crap. I have no other choice. If I want to scrap my pieces of my image together so I can get fame and money once again, I have to act like I'm sorry and apologize. And then, of course, they show you in the movies when this happens. I'm not saying every time, but they show it. They show it a lot. when this happens, then when everybody's gone, when they think everybody's gone, not always everybody gone, you know, a little bit of shame, father catches someone in a lie, and they go, you weren't supposed to see the evil I just did. Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! You know how insanely insecure, prideful, and evil that is? Kill the guy that just happens to see the truth that you weren't supposed to see. He didn't do anything yet. He's just there, or she. Kill them. No witnesses, right? Don't do it. Don't do it, man. It's better that way. No witnesses. Come on, let's go. You know, it's sick. That's all they show in Hollywood. That's all they show in this world. That's all they teach constantly and brainwash little kids to believe for good. Because nothing is bad if it's being shown out in the open. It's already teaching that it's good. Hello. It's already teaching that it's okay, no matter what someone says. Whatever is widely available is already teaching that this widely available thing is perfectly okay and good, and there's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, someone that denies that's blind. And the world will deny that. It just thinks carnally about everything. Oh, you know, like video games, it never caused anyone to go, it's their fault. It needs to blame someone constantly and condemn them. That's out of how it works constantly. It doesn't see anything. It just needs to condemn and kill someone constantly. And then because it's connected to this or that, it needs to defend itself. It can't deny itself. So if it loves gaming and violence or whatever it's connected to, it doesn't matter what it is. And something's brought up about how this is no good and there's a lot of violence, and make connections to this violence with doing violence in the real world, it's going to get angry and say, no, 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 that's retarded, because it's connected to that. It has to defend it. Can someone see it? It has to. There's no other choice. It's not going to deny itself. No lion's going to sit and say, kill me, I'm ready to die. It's going to fight to death. Someone's going to have to kill it. It's going to defend its soul. And we read the believers, speaking of them, they loved not their lives unto death, like Messiah. How does that fit so perfectly? Someone's already at enmity with this in unbelief in this world. They don't believe that. They live out of the opposite thing every second they breathe. It lives out of saving the beast, old man, and not denying self. It lives out of not wanting to die or lay its life down every single day, and every work that it does is out of wanting to be immortal in evil, and not to die and not to lay its life down. That's evil. It lives and does things every day to keep itself alive, and I'm speaking spiritually, but it manifests physically too. Pretty hardcore when it does. All the people that talk, all of a sudden their talk goes right through the wind as a giant lie, and nobody seems to ever remember it when it happens. How convenient for evil to raise in fame and forget all the evil it's done. You know, all the rich and famous people, sports players, just conveniently blot out from the history books all the violent evil they've done, and that they've done many even carnal, worldly, literal things that were no good, but they're just remembered for being a good boxer or something. Right? Some of these people are literal killers. They've killed people, and that's blotted out, and nobody actually thinks or knows or believes that about someone. A lot of these people are literal rapists, and they've raped kids, but they just conveniently blot that out. And even if they didn't, everyone's guilty of a bunch of evil they've only done. Even if they haven't raped little kids literally, they've done it spiritually. When someone forces someone onto themselves, or forces themselves onto someone else by trying to control them, that's evil. That's spiritual rape. Out of sin guilt, someone exposes exactly what they're doing. They'll tell you what they do and nobody asks. That's a bad sign. It happens so consistent and so much, the Father's judgments, that even the blind world will bring these things up as patterns. They call it whatever names. It's never going to have to do with the Father's truth and judgment. Never. They create a name and category for it and call it some kind of pattern. and whatever name they have for it is a pattern they see where someone starts saying, I'm not a killer, I'm not doing this, and nobody said anything about it. They'll call it whatever they call it, which is a sign to them that they are exactly what they say they're not, because they're speaking out of sin guilt. They need to say it. They have to, because of the judgment. That's why, not because of some random accident that supposedly happened billions of years ago, according to this dumb, stupid world. This is because of the Creator's judgments being utterly true and perfect and never wrong at any time for anyone. And that's why these patterns are seen. And they try to put a name and category and box on it and separate it from the Creator and give its own definition and reasons to why these things happen apart from Him, which is what this world's always doing, running, hiding, and covering. It is Jonah. When it reads about Jonah, it reads about itself. It was no different. That's mankind right there. That's Adam and Eve. It runs and covers all of humanity. It runs to the woods, covers itself with its own self-righteousness because it's already guilty because of the judgment that's already spiritually happening within someone's heart because of the judgment, which is in spirit, already working. And now it needs to cover itself out of the judgment and sin guilt for doing actual evil according to the truth, according to the Father's truth. It's already working. It's already too late to anyone that doesn't believe. It's already over. They've already done everything Adam and Eve ever has done, and so has everyone. But they keep lying to themselves and say there is no creator, there is no truth. And it goes into its Chinese delusion, Japanese delusion, whatever spiritual language someone's looking for, and it says this is the truth, and then it'll quote scriptures and apply those scriptures to their body, to their congregation of the wicked, like we read, congregation of the wicked. Someone can put those words in a search engine in the scriptures and find congregation of the wicked. They got congregations too. The devil's always masquerading something that looks like the truth. And just because, like the world says, because there's a million evil things doesn't mean there is not one good thing that's true, that all these million things try to copy and cover already itself and pretend it's the truth. Evidence that it's lying is 10 million other things doing the exact same thing, saying it's only the truth. By the time the truth is seen as only the truth, looks pretty stupid, pretty dumb to this world, won't be believed. It's just one language out of a billion. Hebrew, spiritual Hebrew, the Father's words and language is just one language out of a billion. It's all mixed up, lost, and confused. Who can know it? So then the devil already succeeded by getting someone to believe there is no absolute truth. There is no creator. Everything is just someone's opinions, and everyone's, well, divided and against each other while they seemingly try to prove that they're not. Can't the church world see how incredibly divided against its own self it is? It hates its own self. That's why it has different groups and organizations with different denominations, with different beliefs that are against someone else's. How could that all be from the Father if it's so badly divided and against its own self? Demons casting out demons, like we read, like the Pharisees did. That was their work, demons casting out demons by the power of demons. And so Satan cast himself out. Well, that's what happens. So then how does that stand? It doesn't stand. That's what Messiah taught. This world's not standing spiritually, but no one will believe that. That's in and of the world, because look, all the buildings are standing. Stupid. It really does become foolish, but to it, the Father's truth is foolish. Saying it's not standing in this world is violently stupid and foolish, because where's the proof? Where's the picture? Where's the carnal, literal proof? Can't you see businesses are running and money's being pumped out and people are getting rich and famous? You're an idiot. What do you mean it's not standing? That's what's going to happen. That's because we're not speaking what they think and only know. Sorry, not speaking about that at all. They can't believe that. They won't believe that. Neither does the church world believe that. The harlot is one with the beast. That's a teaching in his word. There is no difference between Jerusalem, carnal Jerusalem, and the rest of this world. It is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. Jerusalem is Sodom and Egypt spiritually, meaning the heart is no different, which is everything. Image is an image, and one image will vary from the other, whatever someone's sort of their image is. Maybe they're a cowboy and that's what they sell. But the heart is inside the same. It doesn't matter whether the clothes are a little different, the cover, the image. Spiritually, meaning the heart, the mind, and all those works that come out of the heart and its intentions, is no different than anybody else. Church world has never been anything different than anybody else. But it sells that it is because it's got whitewashed walls like Messiah taught. Look how perfectly fulfilled that constantly is. And it's more fulfilled today than it was 500 years ago because there's more. It's more fulfilled, stronger. It's always true, but it's more. It's even more true, which doesn't mean it wasn't true. It's just more true. That's it. It's just true, more. It was true, now it's more true. That doesn't imply it wasn't true like someone might think. It's just more true. If something is 1 centimeter or 1 millimeter above the ground, and now it's 20 millimeters above the ground or 20 feet above the ground, way higher. 1 millimeter is above the ground. That was true. It's just that 20 feet is more. It's not a lie that it was not above the ground. It was just more. There's no lie in truth. There's no truth in lies. They have nothing to do with each other. Now we do read about Job as an example, the apostle saying, or I think it was, wherever we read in the New Testament, to have patience, and then you will see the good thing the Father intended. Even through all that destruction of the flesh and difficulty, the other side, the good intended thing, but you have to endure and have patience. And then the other family starts coming, and the other old family is passing away, dying to Job and Job to it. This is real. They'll start dying spiritually to you. And when you don't worship them like they want you to, they're going to count that for hatred, which is exactly what Messiah teaches to do. Who can hear it? Who can love it? If you don't hate your mother, brother, father, relatives, sisters, and even your own soul, your own life, you have no part of me. Nothing to do with him. They have to believe you hate them. No, it can't be, says the church world. Plug my ears. I don't want to hear this. Stop it. If you try to do something on purpose to make someone hate you, that's evil. It's just that if you do what's right, which is the Father's will, then that will happen. You don't do anything to try to make it happen. It just will for doing whatever is right. They'll think you hate them. They'll see it as actual wicked hatred. Yes, they will. Because you're not worshiping their image anymore like you used to, or it's dying. It's getting better. And the more that happens, the more the hatred that you have against them is going to increase because you're not doing the worship anymore, the fake love, the worshiping of the image of the beast, loving who and what someone is and what all that sin is, and always wanting to please them and their sin, and always wanting to worship and please and do things to please someone. So when that really starts spiritually dying, which is doing the Father's will and doing good and not evil, which is obeying Messiah's words, they'll notice that something's happening, missing, and they'll count it for hatred, for evil, not good. Now is the time to read those words that this is what needs to happen anyways. This is the truth, that you have to hate mother, brother, relatives, father, brother, sisters, and even your own life, or you have nothing to do with it. And this hatred is understood without any evil. That's it. But it will be seen as evil. But whatever a believer's doing, that's not evil. That's good. That is the only good thing. It'll just be seen as evil because it's good. That's why they call good evil and evil good. It's backwards. His heart is backwards and deceitful above all things. Not worshiping someone out of that wicked, worshiping the image of the beast, is loving that person. They'll see it as hate. And that's what hating for good now is hating the old man, not worshiping the old man, not doing something to please someone so that they see you as good. So that's like pleasing someone, so that it comes back on you as a good image. If you stop doing these things, and they're spiritual things, they're not to be spoken of, it's carnal. That's not what someone's going to notice. When they start seeing these works, the works that Messiah speaks of, the light that he speaks of, the blind will notice something and they won't like it. They'll hate it. They'll see it as evil. They don't know what it is. They don't believe it's good. They'll see it as evil because you're doing good that you were not doing before. Now when you do good, they'll hate you for it. They only pretended they wanted good for you and want you to do good. When you actually do it, they hate it. It's been my real life experience. It's all I know. It's all I know. I don't know anything else. That's what I see. I know that's true. And it's not even about one. This is true everywhere for everyone, everything without partiality. There's no such thing as pointing someone out. This is an example for all, for everything. There's nowhere where this truth is not going to be true. If this, then this, when it's the truth. If you do actual good, then you will be hated. They won't like it. What does someone have to do because they have an image to sell, especially if you're friends or family or something? They're going to have to try to hide that they hate you. Yes, they do. They're going to have to try to hide that they hate the good you do. See, and it gets real mixed up and deceiving like that. And while they're doing all this, they think nobody can see them, including the Creator himself, just like they can read in their book that they go to once or twice a week, every Sunday or every Sunday and Tuesday. And they don't believe at all that it's speaking about them, and they don't believe those words at all. I don't see it. I don't see the works that prove someone believes it in there. That's why we read it's come out of her, my people. This is specifically come out of the harlot, come out of the religion, come out of the church world. It's not even, it's to come out of the world spiritually, but it's specifically speaking about come out of the harlot. This is the harlot that makes herself look like she's an angel of light, a messenger of light. It makes itself look good on the outside on purpose to hide and cover all its evil in its heart. And anyone that has to do that is proof that they have a lot of sin and evil in their heart. Because if someone is doing the Father's works, there's nothing to hide. There's nothing to try to cover or sell. You don't like it? This is what it is. That 5 billion people hate it, too bad. You have to do what's right anyways, regardless of what 7 billion people think. Lands you in prison, this, that, out of fear, people work. I don't want to do this just in case. I mean, that could land me in like prison or something. Then they'll go and say they overcame death. I don't fear death. That doesn't bother me at all. And all they're doing is telling the people to prepare themselves for the apocalypse. And they tell you that they're not afraid of death. Liars. That's all they're thinking about is death. Liars. All their works prove that they're afraid and don't even remotely start to believe and do Messiah's words of not worried. There's no even beginning yet for them because their works prove it. All day long, that's all they talk about and put out is so that you worry about tomorrow. And everyone's been guilty of it, but this is something to be overcome, and liars will be exposed because they're lying. They have nothing to do with the truth. As if someone's born and they just overcame death. Nonsense. Evil, lying nonsense. I know that's not true for myself. It has to be overcome. And when it is being overcome, no one will believe it because it looks just like the lie. Because nobody's actually overcoming, so they won't believe you. You just have to live with that and accept that and do no evil back. These people are lying that just can casually say some massive, huge words. Doesn't faze me, doesn't bother me, not worried about that. While they got a bunch of shotguns and bullets ready for the apocalypse in their basement, and they're ready to blow someone's head off to save their life. They're so afraid of their own life being taken. Liars. Lying liars, snakes. Can't stand seeing it. Just say the right magical words, carnal man, and all your problems go away. You are the creator in your own mind. Yes, you are. And because you say it, it is therefore true now. You're not afraid of death, even though you're going to prove you are. And if something were to happen physically, you will prove you're afraid of it. There's no claims being made like that by someone that can see. They already acknowledge that they have nothing and are weak little cowards. That's the only way someone's going to get strength from the Father. And when that strength comes, they won't believe that we acknowledge that we are afraid of all these things and a bunch of weak cowards and nothing of ourselves. They won't believe we acknowledge those things. When they see strength, they'll hate it. And still have to continue to acknowledge that, because that's what we always will be. Never going to be good of self, never going to have any self-righteousness of self, ever. Never. Nevertheless, the good thing comes for doing what's right and speaking truth and acknowledging it. And when the Father makes you whatever he's making you, it won't be believed. It's that simple. But it's always going to be true that self is nothing and no good and a coward and weak. It's always true. And the Father just shows you even more, digs up what you thought wasn't there. He digs it up and says, see, there's more. And then you have to acknowledge more. And then he digs up some more that you didn't even think about was there. And then you acknowledge more. That's the only way someone can get better and healed. But when someone just goes to everyone, potentially the whole entire world could see him. Not that everyone will, but they go out there to the world with potential that the whole world could hear them, see their words, even though it's not likely going to happen. It doesn't matter. It's the intention of heart that matters. And they go say, I'm not afraid of death. And all they talk about is how to prepare and prevent it. How could someone believe them? How could someone believe that person? Not afraid of death. Doesn't faze me, doesn't bother me. How on earth can someone believe that unless they themselves are lying to themselves and in the same exact situation in heart and works with no change yet? That's the only way someone can believe a liar, is that all the ones that believe the liar are in a bunch of lies themselves. That's the only way. It's the only way. So in this world, you have to put up a front and pretend you're not weak, because they'll eat you up in this world if you're showing signs of weakness. Why? Because the world is wicked. It doesn't care about someone that's weak. It doesn't have any mercy or pity. Everyone's that anyways. It's a giant hypocrite. It sees a limping gazelle or deer or whatever, I don't even know if I'm saying it, and the lion's crouching down and watching it limp and going, ooh, this is easy food. Plus it offends me. I'm not that. That's not who I am. So I'm going to devour what I'm not to try to get rid of the proof that I'm that. I need to get rid of what offends me because I don't want to see myself as that. I'm not that. So I'm going to go and devour it. Plus I'm hungry. That's how I eat. They eat my people. They keep eating my sheep. Eat, 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 eat. How often do we read this in his word? In Ezekiel 33, 34, and too many other places to even remember about eating his people. This is a spiritual wickedness happening. It's something like eating and tearing at flesh and just eating someone up and devouring them. They want to swallow life whole. First, you have to kill someone to eat them, like a lion does to its prey. Well, not necessarily. You start biting on them while they're still alive, but you know what I mean. Pretty sick. Pretty brutal picture. That's who mankind is. It's no different than a lion. It's a lion in the heart for evil. Which someone can now use and say Messiah is evil because of, lion. We read something about lion, right? When it's only taking a trait and to take that picture and trait that a lion has as something good, like the father's strength, bold, that can be done. Sorry, it doesn't work like the way the carnal world thinks it works. That can be done and is done. Exactly that is done. Because his truth is deep, wide, high, and it's not some kind of shallow, carnal, robotic system. Nothing working like the carnal mind thinks it really works with any of his truth. That has to be given. So the true family doesn't want with intention to go and stab someone in the back, but if they do, the true family better repent. And if it never does, how could it be the true family? But hopefully, no one does that. But is it going to happen anyways? Why do we read if a brother sins and says, forgive me, forgive him 70 times 70, if that never happens? There's no reason to forgive ever, because nobody ever does any sin. No one ever makes any mistakes, right? That's why Messiah teaches that. Forgive 7 times 70 from one believer to another. What does that mean? Well, maybe it's going to happen, but someone shouldn't want that to happen. They should be able to see that they don't want to do evil. But if it does happen, then you forgive someone. That's it. Even if they're just using you and maybe they're not who you think they are. Father will make them go away eventually for doing evil, and it's going to be a strong judgment on them if you did what was right and they did what was evil. It's not going to be a light judgment. It's going to be a flood that floods the Egyptians away like they're nothing. Right before that happens, it doesn't look so good. It looks like you're going to be devoured. You're not going to make it. That's not believing. That's why we read of them complaining constantly, because they didn't believe the Father. They don't believe, constantly complaining and saying it's not going to happen, one miracle after another, and they still don't believe. They keep complaining. That's what we have as an example of not to do, not to be. It's what we read in the New Testament. Don't be like them, the rebellion, as an example for our benefit, for our example, like we read. And it wasn't for their own admonition even. It was for believers in Messiah's admonition, like we read. It wasn't even for their own admonition, those very same words we read today. Because there was no spiritual understanding. How could it be for their admonition? First the natural, then the spiritual, or say it like the way we read it, which is the exact same meaning. Not the spiritual first, but the natural first. It means the same thing. Exactly, no different. And many times something could be said a little differently, and his word does that, and it means the same thing, but someone's going to fight over it when it means exactly the same spiritual thing. That has to go away and die too. That's straining at gnats and worthlessness, something that's not even any different. But pride wants to make it different, so it makes itself special and different in pride, and wants to attack someone anyways. It's just a reason or excuse to attack and do evil. So someone is sniffing for evil in this world. They're looking for it. Whatever just happened is like gotta go, dog pile. Gives me a chance to beat the crap out of someone up and kick their teeth in. That's what it is. It's just an excuse to do evil. If you turn around and walk away, you're a coward, wicked, and you're a devil. That's what they'll do to you if you walk away like you should and not try to get in someone else's fight and stop it. As if the Creator doesn't know what he's doing, as if you can't obey him and it's going to be a sin if you don't go and do evil. See, there's no way in someone's mind against the Father to do good at all, for walking away from evil. You have to go and do it, or else you're a devil and a coward and a snake. See, that's why it gets angry and rages, because it cannot see you do anything that proves the Creator exists by doing his very works, which is the only proof, which is the proof that he exists and is true, is doing his very works that the devil knows is the proof that he is the one true Creator. And the devil cannot stand more than anything, probably, is then to see someone do, they have to be his works. This has to be real. When they're seen, that's when that's when people rage, because they're watching proof of the Creator. Does that sound prideful to someone? Does that sound like a man or a woman is being called the Creator? Because that's not what it is. Nevertheless, it's true. Messiah's works prove everything. It does not prove he's the Creator. There's no pride in it at all. There's not even a thought in Messiah's mind that he's the Creator. Never believed that for a second. He never did, never taught that. There's not a single word in all of Scripture that teaches that. That is the prideful, evil thing. That is the twisting of truth, to say that he is the Creator, that he is Elohim Almighty. Doing the Father's works makes the devil all around him rage. That's why they killed him, because it's proof, but they didn't believe it. They don't want to believe it. They're already biased and against it, because they are the devil and one with the devil in spirit. They are the enemy. They talk about themselves when they say he's the evil one and does evil and deserves to die for what? Doing good. Because Messiah didn't do evil to them. They killed him for doing good. The church world needs to remember that every day. It should. It won't. But just to bring something out. It doesn't seem to ever realize or see for real or remember at all that he was killed for doing only good, not evil. Do they know what that looks like in this world? Would they believe it if it happened over and over again right now, today in 2022? Could someone believe that person was doing the Father's good works if they got nailed to a stake and killed by this world? No, you'd have to believe they're evil and violent. Unless someone has been given sight to see. Otherwise, you have to believe that that person is automatically wicked and violent and evil and deserves it, with no understanding at all, with no mercy at all, ever at any time, with no pity at all, any time, because it has to hate what it is. Therefore, when it sees others do what it does, it has to hate that, which is a contradiction and self-condemnation that it doesn't realize it's doing. It hates itself. It needs to destroy when someone is being wild and crazy, because it reminds them of what their heart is doing. So it needs to go and devour what it sees that it actually is, that it doesn't want to believe it is, and try to pretend and cover up that that's not who and what they are. They teach this in Hollywood. They don't teach it. They just happen to show the truth in plain sight anyways, because the Father's truth is undeniable. They do this all the time. What about that serial killer in the back of the cop car who's trying to get the message across that the cop in the passenger seat is no different than him? He is the same person. And he's proving it right there by wanting to kill him so badly. His heart already murdered and killed him like a beast. But then the guy in the back is also in delusion, while also actually saying there's some truth in there. You're the same person. You're no different. You need to put away bad guys like me to try to cover and hide you are the same person. That's why you have that job. Hello? Because you need to make yourself look desperately like you're not that by putting away what you are to make it look like you're not that. You put away what you are to hide and cover that you're that. That's why you got the job, but you won't acknowledge it, says the rapist and murderer in the back seat. Seems like it's been a lot of hard words lately, but maybe that's all it can be. The truth is hard words. It's never soft, smooth, oily words. Where's the scripture on that? The false prophet speaks smooth, oily, slimy, slippery, smooth. That's what it is. Words. We read that. If the false prophet speaks smooth words, that's not good. That's he's lying. Those smooth words are a lie. So what is the truth then? Hard words. Like Messiah's teaching on that. That all of it is hard words. All of it is not just one little example or something. That example is to teach that the truth is hard words. Like eat my flesh, drink my blood. The truth is hard. It offends people. They don't like it. It makes them look bad because they're doing evil. So then it has to hate what exposes it, to try to cover up the proof that it is that. It doesn't want to see itself, so it needs to make it disappear. Kill him. That's it. Kill him. Get rid of the evidence of me being what I'm looking at. I see poor person on the street, offended because I'm poor, naked, miserable, wretched, poor, blind, naked. So it needs to get rid of that. It'll just use the poor for its own self-gain to look good so that it doesn't look like the poor person. That's why it looks like they love the poor sometimes, because they're using them. They don't love them or care about them at all. They hate that. No wicked could love the poor for real or care at all the proper way. It hates that. It judges that with condemnation and hellfire. That's what it does to it. While it gives them money. It gives them money so that it can hide that it's that itself and hates that. So that nobody believes it's that. That's why it gives it money and tells everyone about it, that it gave to someone. Broadcasting that it gave to someone so that its image can go far from being that poor person. That's why it gives. Can someone see the intention being utterly evil? If you give for real with the right intention, it won't look any different than the evil. There's no reward for doing good in this world. They'll hate you for it and won't believe it. You have to go away all by yourself with nothing and no one around, and then someone is rewarded openly while nobody sees or believes it, because the rewards and blessings aren't carnal things. He can do that. That's why the apostle says each one has to, some more hard words, isn't it? Each one has to, how does he say it? Rejoice basically by themselves towards the Father. That's it. They can't rejoice in someone else and have some spiritual adultery with all this and fornication, which is what that actually is, that the world is always doing, that doesn't believe they're doing spiritual fornication and adultery nonstop. So then if someone doesn't do that literally, they're already breaking the spiritual law by doing that wicked work spiritually with their heart. They do that constantly. Their works prove it. No one has to be a literal rapist to be a rapist. Those are Messiah's teachings when he says and teaches that all the sins and all the evil comes from the heart. And some examples are given, which are some big examples, which end up covering, it's all connected. Not every single thing has to be said in order to be true. That would be insanity. That wouldn't even work. If every time you had to say whatever everything is, every time, you would still be, his word would be bigger than the earth times a million, and it would still be growing right now and never finished. No, it's not easy to die to the old man and the old people and old friends and family. This spiritual death, this is it's happening process anyways, and just slowly disappear. they miss what they got out of you, what they could use out of you. They miss controlling you, things like that. But the true family see all this wickedness. This is not so. This can't be so. So then it's all the real things, true. No fakery, no wickedness, no, not to say that we're all perfected. But his way is perfect. This is what it is. That's what someone should want if they're a believer. They should want what's real, I would believe and think, not what's fake anymore. Unless they still have to lie to themselves that fake thing is actually doing something good for them, then you have to let it be so if that's what someone needs to believe. That's a lot of violence and evil, man. It's a lot of sin. This world's always been. I suppose the Father sees it though perfectly. Well, we can't, even whatever we're given, we still can't see whatever he sees. It must really be like a moment. Like that's why we read that. Just like, oh, a couple of days, it's no big deal. Maybe that's why we read that, because it will seem like that after it's all done. It's just a couple of days, just a few days of evil, maybe 6 days of evil, specifically 6 days, and then no more. That's a pretty big change. Can someone see it? What on earth is that? What does that even look like? Eventually, in due time, no more evil. That's a pretty massive change in promise. Who can comprehend it when this is all the world's always been, is the exact opposite of whatever is good and perfect? Has someone seen very disturbing ads they have lately? And I'm not even, this is just a little bit on YouTube. It's already disturbing, let alone whatever they got going on, TV, which I don't know of anything. I don't have or listen to anything. Try to or want to, don't have service. Just hearing maybe something from someone, occasionally looking up online, but very rarely what the news is. It's become really rare. But there's this ad on that I've seen on YouTube of a guy with like a little bit longer hair. It's like some kind of Messiah figure. That's what they're picturing, painting. He's walking down. There's people like on either side, kind of like, like sticking out their hands, wanting to worship him, touch him. Got this eerie sound and like bells that sound hollow and empty, like make it like a death, a doom is coming sound. He's walking, and then some guy like comes to him and wants to worship him, and he thanks him for worshiping his image, which is what the guy wants, is worship of self. And he says, we want to make on earth just as much, we want as much as possible to make earth as heaven on earth, as much as possible. And I thank you, he says to the guy that comes to him ready to serve and worship his image. Nebuchadnezzar, worship my image or die. Hasn't it always been true? Yes, it has. Always was, is, and is to come. And then he says, thank you, like something like, thank you for your dedication, already worshiping before the goddess even awakes. And then it like changes completely mood with the sound. It goes to like, I'm just joking. It doesn't say that, but it is saying that. From eerie and dark, some Messiah figure everyone's wanting to worship, and the guy mentions worshiping a goddess before it even awakes and thanks the guy's dedication. I mean, this is incredibly obvious. And it's also brainwashing and spiritual delusion, preparing people for what they're always doing and will finally manifest at the end. Absolutely. And then it kind of just says, I'm just joking, because everything just changes all of a sudden, gets real light and flowery. That was no joke. They can go and read in Proverbs all day long. This is what people do. They do evil and then they say, I was just joking. You throw fires, arrows, and death to your neighbor and then say, I was only just kidding. They can read it, find it in Proverbs and read it. That's what people do, left and right, day and night. You did the evil, whoever does the evil, and then say you were only kidding. Liar, you did it already. It's over. You meant it. Now you're trying to run and cover and take back. That's the definition of a spiritual coward. Will they believe that? No. A coward is someone that doesn't want to show how strong they are by beating the crap out of someone. That's what a coward is. While they just did the only definition of a spiritual real coward in heaven. Nobody's going to believe it because they all are that, and they're not going to deny themselves. No, their own definition of a coward is some worldly, carnal, earthly, natural, delusional definition of coward that has to do with evil. No, that was a coward right there that says, I'm just kidding. Coward. Own up your sin and acknowledge you did the evil. Nope, can't do it. Sorry. Devil can't do it. Can't do that. You're evil for just trying to speak the truth and tell someone, say the truth. No, they'll say you're evil now for telling them to speak truth and not lie. That's how much they're going to be a coward and resist it and not acknowledge it at all. You can count on it. They'll stand on that, I'm just kidding, to the death. They'll never change, ever, unless the Father has mercy on them. It cannot deny itself. It's a lion. It needs to be a lion. It can't be anything else from the heart. It can look like it, can cover, it can put sheepskin over itself. It can't do with the heart anything except wolf and lion works. That's it. Do they want the scriptures for it in the church world? Do they want the scriptures for it? They don't want it. They don't want it. If they were to hear it, they wouldn't be able to believe it. No, they would. They won't. And whatever truth was given to them, if someone does, it'll be gone tomorrow like it never happened. Next year, far more gone than it was a minute after. It's gone. Some bird up there has the word. It's gone. The word is the bird is the word. I wonder why that's so. Is that the right words? Or did I mix it up? Word is the, no, that doesn't sound right. Bird is the word. Maybe it is. I don't know. Interesting. It's the foul spirit representing bird, foul spirit through evil. Yeah, the bird is the word, right? Messiah knows his sheep, we read, and they know him. Goes both ways. And they don't know the sound or voice of a stranger, which would be anybody in the world that doesn't believe. Something's not right. I don't know you. I don't see you. Who are you? That's what Messiah is speaking out of, the truth. Not anything to do with like carnal, but speaking out of the truth. I don't know you. I don't see you. Who are you? I don't know you. And how could the body not ever recognize itself? The arm says to the leg, I don't know you forever. What is that? Who the hell are you? And it's the same members, the same body that the members are attached to. Who are you? I think I need to kill you. And what would that look like naturally? The hand cutting off its own foot. Pretty evil, pretty stupid. So it's no good for the body which is the body of believers, to attack each other, or like we read, bite and devour. These are just warnings or reminders that we read of. Well, all his word is a reminder and a warning also. Sound of alarm. The alarm people want to talk about, I guess, is like the apocalypse alarm only, and that's it. That's it. It's like people can't wait till they get off their sawed-offs. They really want this to come, don't they? Woe is the one that wants the day of Jehovah to come. They can read it. So we shouldn't want that while not running away from it, while knowing about this or that, but not want it with the heart. Not rejoice and want evil to come, with the heart. Whether it comes or not doesn't matter. It's about what the heart is doing. Doesn't matter what the outcome is. You can not want something that's coming that you know is coming. You cannot want it. It's possible. And and accept that it'll come, and you don't teach anything else and don't go against that. It's going to sound contradicting to someone that doesn't see and understand what this is. So I see a want for this evil to come, for this judgment, this day of Jehovah, this strong judgment, and a lot of bloody death and murder to come. I see excitement and shaking with excitement that people can go and have an excuse to do what they've always wanted to do because they're so tired of that restraint. They just need to go and kill someone already, Does that scare anyone? Is that why people go to like games and stuff, so they can scream obscenities and do evil and throw stuff at whoever makes their image look bad, because they finally need to just go out and do some evil and scream their heads off, tired of all the restraint, kill my family because I'm tired of the control that my woman has over me because I'm a sinning Adam and have no control at all. So I'm just going to get rid of the problem by killing them all. That's why I did that. Speaking for the killer. They're not going to tell you that, are they? It's not going to have anything to do with the Father's truth. No, it won't. Everybody that's caught says they didn't do it. Look at on the all the videos, cops, all the proof everyone's doing. I didn't do it. I don't know how they could do it. I don't know. They all say it like they believe it. They have to, because they're God. They didn't get caught. They don't believe they got caught. They could be walking to prison. They still don't believe it. It doesn't matter. I never did it. I never fouled anyone ever in my life. No foul. No foul. What are you talking about? 99% of the times it probably is a foul according to their rules. But 0% of the time in their mind, they fouled someone. Never, ever, never. Only time to acknowledge it is when it's so obvious that you can see that you would look bad for not acknowledging it, which is not actually acknowledging it still. But someone in the world will not see. They'll take that and use it to prove they have humility and are humble. Isn't that incredible? Sick. The world's definition of humility is wickedness. That's what it is. It's death. It's evil. It's pride. That's their definition of humility. Humility is not what you just pretend to look like real quick on purpose so that you look like it. That has nothing to do with humility. Sick. Someone that's pretending to have humility wouldn't be able to even say these words because they're afraid of what they're going to look like. That's what fake humility is. They'll do anything to look good so they can make more money and be seen as a good person, which will make them likely more money, more fame, more power, more riches, more status, raise up in your job, whatever. It's a lot to be freed from. Someone can just be free. The truth will set someone free. They don't have to do any of this. They don't have to be in slavery to their own sin the same way forever. Start overcoming it. Be free. Instead of wanting to release and unleash the beast, be free to do evil. It's the true freedom where you're actually being released from the evil so that you don't have to do evil or want to go out and rage and lose your mind. to like unleash the beast and let all of that stress and evil go. That's what the Father can do for someone. Here a little, there a little, never, boom, overcome in one day. But that's what He will do for someone that believes. You don't have to suck up to anyone, worship them anymore, be under their grip, under their control, under their constant, cruel, brutal, unloving control, attacks, and command, using you like a worthless nothing. Father doesn't do any of that. All of that is no love at all, which is the world we live in, which is waxing worse, which is the robotic, AI, incredibly cold, brutally cold world with no love at all that we read would be so. How perfectly is it coming to fulfillment, this coldness? Just when you think it could get no colder, this generation got colder for sure, no doubt. And it's getting colder every second that passes by because of the things that are coming to fulfillment. It's getting even colder. His people should be getting hotter though, but this world's getting colder. Whatever was cold, it's getting colder. You know, like earlier, 1 millimeter above the ground is still above the ground, but 20 feet above the ground is just more. It always was cold, but it's getting colder. It's not even trying to pretend to look good. It's losing its image. That's when you know it's real bad. When it doesn't even try to sell or look good on certain things that are slipping, its image is slipping. It's just going to go and do and be exactly what it is and start going out in the open and doing it. That's freedom to the beast. That's freedom to someone. That's the world getting better. We're getting better. More sin, more freedom. That's their definition of getting better. Worse. It's getting worse. They think it's getting better. Peace is closer. The world's becoming one. All things are good. You know, rockets and bombs flying left and right everywhere, here, over there. It's getting better. It's getting better. People dying left and right in nasty wars, disease. It's getting better. It's getting better. Yeah, how to overcome a world that's so dark and evil constantly. It takes a miracle every day. It takes food from above every day, just enough to survive and live, be content, and not worry about that food tomorrow. It's Messiah's teaching. Not worry about the food that someone does need, just that needs to be in order. That's for tomorrow, not today. I think that might be it. People are trying to create their own things when the true thing already exists. They just don't want it, don't acknowledge it, want to create its own rules, its own body, its own congregation, its own truth, its own righteousness, its own laws. No, someone has to deny themselves and conform to the Creator's ways and the true way that already is, that cannot be created by man. And then He'll make His people one. They don't even have to try of themselves. It's the only way He'll do it. Anyone trying is dying. Trying is dying. It's not working. All right, peace. Take care. Seek truth from above.